She left me when I had nothing, no job, no money, no future. I begged her to stay. She posted a selfie with another guy instead. 3 months later, she saw my face, trending, and messaged, "You've changed. Can we talk?" But I had just one reply. "My name's Ethan Gray, and if you had asked anyone in my life 2 years ago, they would have told you I was doing pretty well. I had a decent job, a girlfriend I thought I'd marry, and a clean little apartment in a neighborhood that didn't reek of regret. I wasn't rich, but I was stable, or so I thought. Everything unraveled in less than 24 hours. It started on a Thursday morning, the kind of gray-skied day that already feels like it's warning you. I showed up at work 15 minutes early, like always, coffee in hand, trying to stay positive. I knew our company had been laying people off left and right, but I kept telling myself I was safe. I was loyal. I stayed late, never complained. Why would they fire me? At 9:06 a.m., I got called into my manager's office. The second I saw her face, tight smile, eyes full of forced pity, I knew. "Ethan," she said, "we're restructuring. Unfortunately, your position has been affected." Affected. That word hit harder than fired. It sounded like some vague disease I'd caught. I left the office an hour later with a cardboard box and the haunting feeling of being a ghost. My coworkers avoided eye contact. A few gave that awkward, tight-lipped sorry man nod. That was it. 8 years of grinding. Gone. I didn't go straight home. I wandered. Through downtown. Through the park. I stared at people drinking overpriced smoothies and laughing like the world wasn't falling apart. Around 3 p.m., I texted my girlfriend, Ava. "Rough day. Can we talk tonight?" She replied an hour later. "Meet me at the brew house at 7. We'll talk there." The brew house. Our spot. Maybe she had good news, a distraction, a hug. I held on to that. But when I got there, she wasn't there. I waited 15 minutes, then 30, then an hour. That's when the message came through. Not a text. A photo. Avenue in a club. Her arm around some guy I didn't recognize. Her smile wide, teeth white, cheeks flushed. And the caption? "Life's too short to stay stuck." That was it. No call, no explanation. Just a picture. And a choice. In less than 12 hours, I had lost the two things I thought anchored me. My job. And her. The days after losing my job, and Ava felt like walking through fog. Not the kind you see in movies, with soft music and poetic melancholy. This was the heavy kind. The kind that clings to your skin, seeps into your lungs, and makes everything taste like failure. I didn't get out of bed for the first 2 days. My phone buzzed now and then. Mostly notifications I didn't bother checking. Group chats from old co-workers still planning happy hours, probably forgetting I was even gone. Family messages I left unread. I couldn't bear the thought of pretending I was okay. My apartment turned into a reflection of me. Dim, cluttered, forgotten. I stopped opening curtains. I stopped cooking. The fridge became a tomb of rotting vegetables and expired yogurt. I ate whatever didn't require effort, mostly crackers and dry cereal. Sometimes I didn't eat at all. Time stopped making sense. Mornings bled into nights without meaning. I'd sit on the couch, staring at the wall, letting entire hours pass without moving. Not watching TV. Not listening to music. Just existing. My sleep schedule dissolved. Some nights I wouldn't sleep at all. Others, I'd wake up at 3 a.m. in a cold sweat, convinced someone was in the apartment, only to realize it was just silence reminding me I was still alive. I didn't cry. I thought I would, but the pain didn't come in tears. It came in numbness, a dull, constant ache in the chest, like my soul had shrunk into the shape of a fist and stayed clenched. I started having dreams about her. Avenue, not the betrayal, just normal dreams. Her laughing at a stupid meme. Her cooking spaghetti while humming off key. I'd wake up disoriented, reaching for someone who wasn't there anymore. Then it'd hit me all over again. On the 5th night, I found a notebook buried under some old mail. On a whim, I opened it, and wrote 3 words. I feel nothing. That's how it started. Every night after that, I wrote something. Angry things, confused things. Sometimes just 1 sentence, sometimes pages. But it gave the emptiness shape. Eventually, I moved to typing. One night, I posted a short story on Reddit. It wasn't even good, just raw. About a guy who lost everything in one day. Who stared into the abyss and whispered, "Okay, now what?" It got 5 upvotes. But then came the comments. This hit hard. I don't know why, but I needed this. You put into words what I've been afraid to say. I read every single one. Twice. Then 3 times. For the first time in weeks, I felt seen. Not fixed. Not healed. But like maybe, just maybe, I wasn't invisible after all. I kept writing. At first, it was just something to do. A way to dump everything I couldn't say out loud. I wrote about loss, about shame, about the dull ache of existing when you don't know who you are anymore. People read it. They didn't just read it. They responded. Hey, I've been there too. Damn, this is exactly how I felt after my breakup. I thought I was alone. Thank you for this. And slowly, my Reddit account, once just a throwaway, turned into a kind of sanctuary. I started posting regularly, weekly stories, raw, real, unpolished, no filters, no faking it. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I was trying to survive. Then, out of nowhere, one post blew up. It was a piece called "Left Behind and Still Breathing." Just a story. About heartbreak. But people resonated with it. Hard. Within a day it hit the front page, thousands of upvotes, comments pouring in from all over. Someone shared it on TikTok. A creator read it aloud, adding music and a soft voice. It got 1 million views overnight. Suddenly, people were following me, DMing me, asking if I had a blog, a Patreon, a place where they could read more. I didn't, but I made one. Within weeks, I had hundreds of subscribers. People weren't just reading my pain, they were paying for it, supporting me, saying, "Your voice matters." And for the first time since I lost everything, I didn't feel like nothing. I felt like someone. That's when she reached out. Avenue. Out of nowhere. 3 months after the last text. She messaged me on Instagram, a short DM. I read your story. You've changed so much. Maybe we should talk. My hands trembled when I read it. Not from excitement, from rage, from disbelief. From the sick realization that she hadn't reached out when I was on the floor, begging the world to notice. She reached out when everyone else finally did. We met at a cafe near the river. Neutral ground, her idea. It had been 3.5 months since the breakup, since the photograph, since she decided I was disposable. But now, sitting across from me with her perfectly styled hair and that familiar nervous smile, she acted like no time had passed. "I've read all your stories," she said, stirring her coffee like she was trying to dissolve guilt in it. "They're really moving." I nodded. I didn't thank her. She tried again. "You've always been talented. I guess I just didn't see it back then." I almost laughed. Back then, I was broke, depressed, invisible. Now that thousands of strangers were validating me, suddenly I was talented. I asked her why she really wanted to meet. She paused, looking at her drink. Then she said, "I've been doing a lot of thinking. I made a mistake. I didn't realize what I had until I lost it." Classic. But she wasn't done. "I was scared. I thought being with you meant settling. I thought I needed someone more ambitious. But I was wrong. You didn't change. I did." And there it was. Not an apology. A rebrand. She wanted back in, not because she loved me, but because I no longer looked like failure. She didn't see me when I was lying on my floor, unable to move. She didn't care when I couldn't afford groceries or cried into the silence of my apartment. She saw the views, the likes, the story people shared and said, "This guy gets it." That's who she wanted. not me. The version of me that survived her. I finished my drink, stood up, and said, "You don't get to come back just because other people finally saw my worth." She tried to speak. I didn't let her. I walked away. And this time, I didn't look back. After that day, I didn't post for a while. Not because I was sad, but because I didn't feel like I had to prove anything anymore. For months, every story I wrote, every post, every like, it all came from a place of needing to be seen. I wanted someone, anyone, to validate me. To tell me I wasn't the loser my ex made me feel like. But that changed. Not overnight, but steadily. I stopped writing just to bleed. I started writing to build. I used to measure my worth in attention, views, comments, follows. But one night, while replying to a message from a 19-year-old who said, "Your story saved my life," I realized, it's not about going viral. It's about being real. So I launched a project, a podcast, a small community, a space where people could share their own rock bottoms, not just the pain, but the way out. It grew slowly, but it grew, authentically. And in the process, something incredible happened. I stopped thinking about Ava. Not in anger, not in grief. Just not at all. It was like my mind no longer had space for someone who didn't make space for me. I reconnected with old friends. I visited my brother who lived 2 states away. I adopted a rescue dog, a big, clumsy thing named Hugo, who follows me like a shadow. Life didn't become perfect, but it became mine. I wasn't chasing someone else's timeline anymore. I wasn't trying to be the guy with the 6-figure salary or the picture-perfect relationship. I was just Ethan. No edits, no filters, and finally, no shame. You know what I realized? Closure isn't something someone else gives you. It's something you create yourself. When you stop waiting for the apology that's never coming, and start living like you deserve better anyway. For a long time, I thought I needed Ava to explain, to apologize, to admit she was wrong, that she hurt me, that I mattered. But that day in the cafe taught me something. I didn't need her, "I'm sorry." I needed my own "I'm done." Done begging to be chosen. Done shrinking myself to fit into someone else's comfort zone. Done measuring my value by the love someone was willing to give, or withhold. I used to think getting left meant I failed. Now, I see it as the beginning. Being left forced me to look inward, to rebuild, to rediscover who I am when no one else is clapping. That's where the real power is, not in revenge, not in proving people wrong, but in no longer caring if they're watching at all. Because the truth is, the people who break you don't stay to see the pieces put back together. And that's okay. Their absence makes space for those who do. So if you've been left, forgotten, written off, if you're staring at the empty seat beside you and wondering if you'll ever feel whole again, let me be living proof. You don't need them to come back. You don't need the closure talk. You don't need one last fight or one last hug. You just need one decision. To move forward. Not for them, for you. Now let me ask you this. What would you do if the person who broke you wanted back in the moment you stood back up?